We're the Wild Center, this is Lunchtime Live. We're talking about nature and exciting wildlife. Encounters with otters and owls too, from Tupper Lake right to you. Learn about the plants and trees, there's so much to explore and see. Lunchtime Live, it's time to start the show. From the Wild Center, here we go.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Lunchtime Live. My name is Nick, your regular Monday host of Lunchtime Live. Today, coming to you from Whiteface, about 30 miles east of the Wild Center, located here in Wilmington, New York. Not only is this a cool place to see some of the fall foliage and a great place to ski in the winter, obviously, but also has a really interesting feature. The Ausable River runs right through this area. So let's head in. We'll take a look at not only the Ausable River, but we'll head to the top and get some views of the fall foliage. One of the cool things that you can check out when you're here in Wilmington is the Ausable River. The Ausable River is actually a living timeline of Adirondack history. I'm actually going to turn my camera around so we can take a closer look. When glaciers that covered this entire area began to retreat about 14,000 years ago, they left behind some enormous rocks called glacial erratics. You can actually see some of those at the Wild Center. There's actually one in particular on the path down to the Racket River. So fast forward to the 1850s, and the Ausable River was a highway. Settlers built near the river not only to have a water source, but entrepreneurs harnessed the power of this water for iron ore forges, sawmills, and grist mills located on the bank. The Ausable River truly is a jack of all trades, and it never gets a day off. Its most important job is being a vital artery that drains more than 500 square miles of the northeastern Adirondack watershed. Rain that falls from the top of Whiteface flows into the Ausable and then makes its way to Lake Champlain and beyond. And it does provide precious habitat and drinking water for people and wildlife. It's also used extensively for snowmaking and whitewater kayaking, so really, truly a jack of all trades. So we mentioned that the Whiteface Ski Area also borrows millions of gallons of water from the Ausable River every winter for use in snowmaking, especially with the equipment like the piece you're seeing right behind me. But since the trout also need that water, that process is actually closely monitored. And then as the snow melts on warmer days, it flows back into the Ausable River to replenish the water levels. Any trip to Whiteface, especially this time of year, wouldn't be complete unless we took a gondola ride up to the top. On our way up, we're going to try and take a look and see if we see any of the slides here. Those slides are actually can be caused by water. So if you look, the bare rock that you see is revealed when a lot of water in a short period of time causes the saturated, thin glacial soils and vegetation to actually give way and they create new scars, or here they call them slides. New slides occurred here at Whiteface and actually several of the other Adirondack high peaks during 2011. If you remember, there was that heavy spring rain and Tropical Storm Irene that caused some of those new slides and scars. So although we may technically be past peak in this region of northern New York, as you can see, still plenty of beautiful pops of color to be admired. All right, we are standing at the top of Little Whiteface Mountain. This is where the gondola actually drops you off. We are 3,652 feet above sea level. It is a balmy 31 degrees up here today. If you've been paying attention to the weather in the Adirondacks recently, you'll know that it actually snowed up here a couple days ago. Let's actually head over. Let's take a look at the observation deck that they have here. It gives you a great view of the Great Range and of Lake Placid and plenty of other mountains in this region. All right, as we head over to the observation deck, Now is a good time to talk about how this place was actually formed. We're actually standing on a rock from a molten chamber 18 miles below the Earth's surface. This rock was forged 1 billion years ago from a continental collision that buried it deep below the planet's crust. Over millions of years, a colossal force drove this rock and the Earth above it upwards into a giant dome. You can now walk on this ancient stone today because erosion has exposed it to the light of day. The Adirondack Dome is still evident, but has been carved into a jumble of more than 1,000 separate peaks ranging from 1,200 to over 5,000 feet of elevation. All right, let's zoom in a little bit and take a closer look at Lake Placid, which you're looking at right now. You can see it has a little bit of a funny shape. That's actually the result of fault valleys. A fault is a break in the rocks that make up the Earth's crust. Two arms of the lake, the sides of the latter, rest in the fault valleys that run in a northeastern direction, as actually most do in this region. Two other fault valleys cross them almost perpendicular to form that rungs like in the shape of a ladder. All right, so that wraps things up from Whiteface. Let's head back inside to the Naturalist Cabinet. Not only will we be taking a look at what's happening at the Wild Center this week, but we're also checking in with our good friends at the Rosamond Gifford Zoo at Burnett Park in Syracuse. They are joining us for our ongoing Show Us Your Backyard series. They are giving us a very special tour of their backyard, showing us some of the animals that call the zoo home, as well as some of the other special things that happen in their backyard. All right, welcome back to the Naturalist Cabinet. Before we get into what's happening at the Wild Center this week, just a reminder that after today, Monday, October 12th, the Wild Center goes back to late fall and winter hours, meaning we'll only be open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. In order to visit, reservations will still be required, and you can get all of that information wildcenter.org/visit. So as a reminder, we are going back to being open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. All right, let's take a look at what's happening at the Wild Center this week. As always, guests have an opportunity to see live animals in our outdoor viewing area at the outdoor classroom all day, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're also doing creature features twice a day, as always, at 10:30 a.m. and at 1:30 p.m. This is your opportunity to get up close and personal with an animal ambassador at the Wild Center and ask any questions that you might have of a Wild Center naturalist. Also happening this Thursday, a fun virtual event. It's called Trick is in the Training. So be sure to join Wild Center curator Leah Valerio to see how the Wild Center staff train our animal ambassadors and how you can use these techniques with your pets at home. In this session, we'll talk about what influences behavior with one of our animal ambassadors and how we shape behavior through training. This is a live Zoom event. It kicks off at 6:30 p.m. and there will be a Q&A afterwards. This event is free for members and $15 for those folks that are not members. So a plug here for Wild Center membership. Not only does it mean visiting the Wild Center anytime for free, you also get really great perks like free participation in these fun virtual events. You can get more information on Trick is in the Training at wildcenter.org/calendar. All right, there's also a lot of really great things happening with the Wild Center's Youth Climate Program in their event, Youth Have Power. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the upcoming events with that program. Happening Wednesday, October 14th at 4 p.m. are office hours. So if you have a question about climate change, need some ideas for a socially distant climate action project, or troubleshooting a roadblock, even if you just want to chat, be sure to stop by and say hi, chat with some of the Wild Center Youth Climate Program staff. Also happening Wednesday, October 14th at 7 p.m. is Unwind Climate Time. So it's an opportunity to connect with other youth climate leaders from across the country for a fun and low stress activity. this Wednesday. It's actually DIY night, so choose a DIY activity ahead of time from the project inspiration list. Gather your materials and we'll walk you through the steps of how to get started. Information on both of those events on Wednesday, October 14th can be found wildcenter.org/youth-have-power. We're also really excited to announce that on Wednesday, October 20th, our speaker series continues with two very special guests. First, Dr. Leslie Ann Dupigny-Giroux, the Vermont State climatologist, and also Liza Goldberg, student research assistant at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. So again, those happening Tuesday, October 20th. Get all of that information at the Youth Have Power website. Again, wildcenter.org/youth-have-power. All right, so as promised, we wrap up this edition of Lunchtime Live with very special guests. Our friends at Rosamond Gifford Zoo at Burnett Park in Syracuse, New York, join us to show us their backyard. Let's go get a sneak peek of the zoo with Ben.
Hello, and welcome to the Rosamond Gifford Zoo. My name is Ben, and this is my backyard. So in this case, it's not my backyard at home, but my working backyard. So here, I'm at the Rosamond Gifford Zoo in Syracuse, New York. So this is centrally located in New York, and right here, you can see a lot of things that you would otherwise not see in your own backyard. So today I'm going to talk about why this backyard is so unique, what you can see and do here, what's so special about it, and how you can actually help our backyard, my backyard, all of our backyards, and create a great place here in New York. So join me as we take a little kind of a virtual tour to look around my backyard. So let's just take a little bit of a virtual tour as we talk about some of the things that are so unique and great about this backyard, the Rosamond Gifford Zoo. So first off, what's my favorite part about this backyard of mine? Well, I have always loved frogs, and some frogs, they are in places in the world that I just can't get to, like the rainforests in South America. So they have those here. You can see all different species of poison dart frogs and learn about animals that you would otherwise never get to see in person. And this goes for so many other species. That's just my favorite part, is the fact that we can see animals that we would never get the chance to in person. And that is something that allows us to have respect for animals and see what animals need our help, not just the ones that we have around our homes. And it's not just that. So even though there's a lot of animals that we have here at the zoo, there are a lot of plants and animals that live around the zoo that are native to this backyard. So while you're here at the zoo, you might see gray squirrels, even woodchucks, you might see fox running around, and also all the different species of birds, migratory birds, songbirds, and even sometimes you'll see plants all over the place, from native flowering plants to even something like a monarch butterfly garden, which is specifically grown plants that monarchs need for their life cycle. And all the trees as well, native and non-native, that are planted in the exhibits for the animals. And this is a really big part of what makes this backyard unique, is here in the city of Syracuse, you can find yourself over here at the Rosamond Gifford Zoo, which is at Burnett Park. So it's also a park. So it's not just a place to see animals, but a great place to enjoy the outdoors. The over half-mile trail allows you to walk around within both flora and fauna that you'll find here and just kind of relax. There's a section of the trail that's just through the trees. That is just an opportunity to see and be in nature that you might not think you could see in a city. So this is kind of what makes the Rosamond Gifford Zoo so special and unique. You get the opportunity to kind of venture around the world and see animals that you would never get a chance to see up close, or just animals that are hard to get to, as well as enjoying the native animals and plants that you can actually find in your own backyards at home. So this is what I find so special and unique about this backyard. So that's just a little bit of the zoo, and as I was talking, you kind of got to see some of the sights from around the zoo. We have many species of animals, and it's always changing, so hopefully you got to kind of look at what this backyard looks like and maybe someday visit. If you have a chance to visit, check us out.
We're only just about 3 hours south of the Wild Center here in Syracuse, central New York. And I hope you see you here sometime soon, as well as enjoying your own backyard. So thank you so much for checking out the Rosamond Gifford Zoo and my backyard here. And right behind me here is our duck pond. So we have many different species of ducks, both native and non-native, that live here seasonally and even throughout the year. So without further ado, my name is Ben. I'm an educator here at the Rosamond Gifford Zoo, and thank you for checking out our backyard.
All right, so thanks again to Ben and the rest of our friends at Rosamond Gifford Zoo for that look at their backyard in our ongoing Show Us Your Backyard series. For more information on the zoo, be sure to visit them at rosamondgiffordzoo.org. So that wraps up this edition of Lunchtime Live. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out every other episode of Lunchtime Live happening every single day, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, on our Facebook page and our website, wildcenter.org/lunchtimelive. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week.